over time, this is going to diminish New Jersey, diminish New York, diminish Massachusetts, and California out of business. Out of business. El morte. No business there.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank destroying a lot of these very leftist liberal places like California, Massachusetts, especially Boston, the city, New York, especially the city, New York City, and politicians like AOC for really being anti-business. You know, a lot of people are moving to Florida. I think all the top metro areas in the country that are growing are in Florida. Why? Because everybody's fleeing there from all over the country, from all over the world, really, but definitely all over the country. People are leaving New York City, California, especially San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, Illinois. They're leaving these big, failing Democratic cities and going to free and open Florida. People want to criticize Florida. Oh, they opened up too quick. They didn't have any kind of restrictions on the bug. Now we know, as many of us knew from the beginning, that the restrictions don't work. It didn't make any sense. Florida was right from the beginning. And as a result of that and many other things, Florida is growing. But these other states, these other cities are not growing as they should. Now, before I go any further, let's roll the clip. Of course, this clip will be in the description if you want to see it for yourself. If you're on IG, link in the bio and visit the corresponding article on my website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll this.
That nobody saw coming. And this is the competition of states. I don't put companies here in New York anymore, or in Massachusetts, or in New Jersey, or in California. Those states are uninvestable. The policy here is insane. The taxes are too high. We put them in Fargo, North Dakota, because 40% of the people work elsewhere, including Boston. So I was, a bit of a debate with Elizabeth Warren about this, but I say, look, Senator, we've got to move the companies out of your state because you're not investable anymore. You're punishing people if they're successful. You overtax them. You hit them with a super tax. New Jersey, what a mess. New York, uninvestable.
Wait,
California,
why is New York uninvestable?
Try and do a project in New York. Try and build a data.
Yeah, I'm asking, Don's point, is it beyond the taxes?
Oh, the regulatory environment is punitive. I had a project in upstate New York behind the grid in Niagara Falls for electricity, a global data center we were building. Eventually, it got so bad with the politicians in the local region and the state policy, we moved it to Norway and all the jobs.
Wow. Out of the whole country. From Niagara Falls, right there in the U.S., we've not crossed into Canada yet. I guess you're talking about Niagara Falls, New York. Rather than having the project there, you went to a whole different part of the world.
Norway has it now. Thousands of jobs coming out of that. I mean, that's New York, uninvestable. Sorry, don't shoot the messenger, just telling you the way it is.
Yeah,
that's it, uninvestable.
Some pushback from our elected officials in New York on that.
I was just going to say Kathy Hochul.
Yeah, but
I'll debate them any time of the day you want.
We would love to set that up.
Particularly
I'd watch
AOC,
that.
she's great at killing jobs. She kills jobs by the thousands. Another New Jersey problem. Where did Amazon
I'm about to say that. Remember the Amazon thing?
take their jobs? They took them away from her. She threatened to sue them if they created jobs. I mean, this is a reality.
It makes no sense. See, that right there is a prime example of what they do to these jobs. I don't even know what the problem was. Why was it an issue for Amazon to bring jobs? I guess for me, they don't pay enough. But I've said this before. It's okay, when someone needs a job, they have no job, right? They need a job. And then when the company brings jobs that can pay them money that they would want, all of a sudden, oh, no, that's not, since you're not paying enough or it's not the right kind of job or the right kind of company, I'm going to run you away. How does that make any sense? How is that going to help your constituents?
It's a reality that the business...
There's a little more to it, but let's not relitigate that.
Sorry, just telling the truth.
He's saying what a lot of people are saying, especially what happened with that Amazon thing here in New York. Just real quickly, I don't want to hog the conversation, but what was Elizabeth Warren's response when you said that to her?
Look, I have a lot of respect for her because it's okay to have a debate about politics,
yes,
but not policy. Mm-hmm. When you have punitive policy, you're making a mistake. And I want to just put up my hand and say, I don't agree, Senator, with your policy. I respect you as a politician, a very successful one. You know, she's very successful, and that's the state where I grew my kids. I mean, our family grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. We left there to move to Florida like everybody else is because it's such a tough place to, you know, this is a tough message. People really are critical about this, but somebody has to call it out because this is a competition of states now, and we don't put money there anymore. We put it in other places, and jobs are created elsewhere. Over time, this is going to diminish New Jersey, diminish New York, diminish Massachusetts, and California out of business. Out of business. El morte. No.
And what he's saying here, I mean, obviously is correct. If you can't create jobs in the place, if you can't keep jobs in the place, then how will that place continue? What are you going to do with no industry, with no jobs, with no revenue coming in? What will you do? All your best and brightest leaving, all the jobs leaving, all the money leaving, all the investment leaving, real estate, business, anything ancillary to productivity is going to leave your state. So how are you going to stay afloat? What are you going to do? This is a very valid question.
Business there. You can't do business there. I don't know what that place is going to turn into. Maybe a tourist zone, but no business. Imagine San Francisco. You can't even walk at night out in the street. Sorry.
Talk about what's happening, though, in other areas, not just on the coast, because, you know, I'm from Alabama, and with hiring workers, what you were talking about a moment ago, is a real issue. I have a family member. They moved to paper checks that they distribute on Fridays because they were having difficulty getting people to actually come to work even 5 days a week. It's a real thing. But when we talk about layoffs in the tech sector, which we talk about a bunch here, but that's not reflected in the economy as a whole. That seems specific to them. But other than that, you're not seeing the level of layoffs in that sense.
The truth is that 65% of our economy is companies between 5 and 500 employees. And those are the mom and pop businesses that make up the core and the success of the American economy.
That's right.
And they're doing quite well right now because the consumer is still really well financed. And so you ask, why
A lot of that fake money, but that's a whole different story I don't want to get into right now.
do we still have inflation on core items like food and energy? Because there's a lot of money sloshing around the system. It's a remarkable time. Full employment, rates going up at the fastest they've ever done since the 60s, and still, you know, people are pointing to a lot of success in small business. Most of our companies are having very good quarters right now. And people talk about tech. Tech's a little different.
Well, this is going to go, this is a pretty good interview here. There's much more to this. I'll link to it, of course, in the description. But for time's sake, I'm only going to play the whole thing. But yeah, shout out to Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank talking about, hey, man, these states, if you're not going to be hospitable to business, that's probably the best way to put it. If you're not going to be hospitable to business, if you're not going to create an environment in which they can flourish, in which businesses can hire employees and really pay them what it makes sense to pay, rather than these ridiculous $1 trillion an hour minimum wages, if you can't have a successful an environment that breeds success, you're not going to have any businesses. They're going to go elsewhere and have success elsewhere. You just said it right there with the whole thing about New York and the project he was going to bring to Niagara Falls. I went to Norway instead. And you're going to see that happen time and time again, not just to some European nation, but a lot of times to China, India, south of the border, et cetera. And if we don't do anything here, if we don't produce anything here, if there's no revenue generated here in America, what are we going to become? How are we going to continue? This is going to be a war of the states. As I close, it's going to be the war of the states, and the states with the best policy for business to come on in and flourish will win. The states with the worst policies for businesses to come on in and flourish are going to lose. California, high on the hog right now. New York City, high on the hog right now because of historic things. But it won't take much time for these historically great places and great economies to fall. Detroit, Michigan, prime example. High on the hog, one of the best cities in the whole world. And now look. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what Kevin O'Leary was saying? Do you think that a lot of these cities and states that may look like they're doing pretty well on paper can fall? Your California, New York, they can fall because of their economic policies. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I'm all for business being able to flourish, being able to operate, because when you have a business that does well, everybody does well. The people that run the business, the employees, the people that benefit from the business. Like, let's say, for example, I have a brick and mortar spot in a particular location. It gets a lot of foot traffic. I'm going to drive people to that particular area. They're going to go to the local shops around there, to the local food places. They're going to be buying the Ubers. It just puts money into the local economy. You got to have that. And if you don't have it, you're just not going to have a successful place. It's really just that simple. What Kevin O'Leary said was right here. Anybody that disagrees, I challenge you to express yourself in the comments below. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.